Remember, American and Israeli strikes hit an under-construction bridge in the Iranian city of Karaj on Thursday. The B1 bridge was the tallest in Iran and all of West Asia. Now, Iran says that these attacks killed at least 8 civilians and injured 95 people. It also insists that the bridge was not a military target. The bridge was supposed to connect the city of Karaj to Iran's capital, Tehran. It was due to be inaugurated later this year, but instead it was subjected to a double-tap strike. US President Donald Trump celebrated this attack and doubled down on his threats to Iran's civilian infrastructure. He says that more bridges will be targeted and then the US will go for the power plants. But Iran says that it will retaliate in kind. In fact, it has listed 8 bridges in the Gulf that are on its hit list. These bridges are spread out across the Gulf Arab monarchies, from Kuwait to Abu Dhabi to Jordan. Also on the list is the bridge connecting Saudi Arabia to Bahrain. So that's, the bridge attack that has happened and the losses that have been incurred. Let me go back to Yusuf. Yusuf, as far as these attacks are concerned, now it has come down to the civilian infrastructure once again, and the US president is not backing down. He is in fact doubling down on saying that we will go on attacking civilian infrastructure if you don't make a deal with us. What has been the response from the Iranian side? Yes, we've been seeing online posts, but what's the sentiment there?
Well, the sentiment here is the Islamic Republic is readying itself for a prolonged conflict, and it is not backing down right now. And the rhetoric here is that the Iranians have the capability and the will to continue this war. So if you just listen to what Iranian analysts, Iranian officials being invited as guests on Iranian live shows on Shabak Khabar, for example, the Iranian news outlet. They're talking about the 8-year Iraqi imposed war on Iran and how Iran managed to survive and, in their eyes, to win the war and sustain the war for 8 years. So right now, the majority of the IRGC commanders, the senior commanders of the IRGC, had the experience of fighting in that 8-year Iraqi-imposed war. So in their eyes, they're capable, both in terms of their spirit and in terms of the public support by the Iranians. The Iranians have also expressed willingness and preparedness to continue this war and continue to throw their weight behind the Islamic Republic to go ahead and fight the Americans back. And of course, in terms of capability, military power, the Iranians believe that they have enough missiles to continue this war, enough drones to continue this war, and more importantly, their leverage over the Strait of Hormuz.
Yusuf, also help me understand, the visuals that we see, whether it's of the bridge attack or the jet being down, are these areas that are heavily residential areas? Help us understand the geography of these places where attacks are taking place on civilian infrastructure.
Well, of course, that's B1 bridge. It's called B1 bridge. That bridge is very much significant. It is described as the masterpiece of Iran's local engineering, because most of the projects you see linking the capital Tehran to its northern areas, because the northern area is very much crowded in terms of the number of tourists going there and visiting the lush green land there on the coastline of the Caspian Sea. Those areas are linked to the capital Tehran through several highways. One of them is this bridge that has been under construction for years by Iranian engineers and using Iranian technology and know-how. So this is also described as the largest and the tallest bridge in the Middle East, around 141 meters high and 1,000 meters. The length is 1,000 meters. So this bridge is described as being civilian to connect the capital Tehran for tourists to be able to travel and cut the distance from like around 5 hours to 2.5 hours if they use this bridge. It was not operational yet. It was on the final stages and was supposed to be completed and to go operational in mid-June this year. But of course, it was destroyed.
All right, I'll leave it there. Yusuf Jalali, thanks very much for joining us at the moment and getting us the latest.